Welcome everybody to IMTS 2014. My name is Thomas Hoenig. Just a little background on myself. I've been a 20-year owner of a company in the machine tool industry. We are going to show you today some of the devices and things that we've done with the iPad, not for self-promotion, but to really expand our mind as to how the iPad, this new device, can be used in our factory, workplace, and industrial sectors. So I'm going to dive right into that. First introduction, why iPad? Why did we choose the iPad? There are several other tablets out there, but there's some specific things with the iPad that made us head in that direction. Just a little story. My company is a service company in the machine tool industry that both does field service work and in-shop service work. One of the dilemmas we had when the first iPad came out, and I must say it inspired us to think of ideas on how to use it, because having the iPad out on the floor, you know, for all our technicians and out on the road, I think we've all seen them in the workplace now, whether it's restaurants, taxi cabs, and those things. So we set forward with the iPad because the development ease, the protection of having Apple reviewing all our apps so they were solid, safe, secure, and all those things were very important for us going forward. So what makes an iPad an iPad? We all know when it came out, America, the world, fell in love with the device from a consumption point of view. Media consumption, emails, wife's buying shoes, all the different things that the iPad can be used for, sharing pictures and all these wonderful things. But as the iPad and the App Store evolved, many industrial people started to see uses for it over and above, meaning for getting work done as a computer and not just a consumption device. So we look at, you know, Continental, United Airlines are using it for their flight plans. Doctors are using them in hospitals. We see them in restaurants, cabs, all over the place. So our company thought of, okay, we can also use this in an industrial sector as well. And one of the dilemmas that GTI had was we had a lot of sophisticated analysis tools that were very, very expensive. And to replace those for multiple facilities or to have them on the road, we thought, well, what about just adding sensors to an already built computer? And that's what I'm going to be going through here. And this is why we chose the iPad and what we feel makes the iPad the iPad. Now you'll see, you guys have all seen one. It's not a very protective case. So in industrial sector, in the machine tool world, we need a little more protection than the tablet comes in its original origin. So I've got one here I'm using for my video, and you can see there's a lot of protective cases out there. So we modified our case to be able to resist all the harsh environments of the industrial workplace and coolants flying around and all these types of things. So a little bit about the hardware features. The multi-touch screen was really important for us with analysis tools. I'm going to be getting into that a little deeper as we go into this. All-day battery life was important too for the people out on the road and in the field or even in the shop, not having to be tethered and plugged in. Powerful computer internals. You know, these devices keep getting better and better. More memory, more processing power. Built-in wireless. That's an important part of why we chose this platform again, is we're always internet connected. When we talk about moving data around and taking data, collecting data, whether it's what we developed and what I'm going to show you today, or maybe some of your own ideas, being able to be connected to the internet allows us to access cloud databases, back up things, share things. And I'm going to show you how we work those things in as well. Dual cameras front and back. Picture's still worth 1,000 words. How many times we're in the field with our units right now that I'm going to show you, where we can't see what the technician is seeing, or maybe from facility to a customer. We can use these cameras not only to take photos and shoot back, but even video conference so they can hear and see things that are going around that they may want our input on. Microphones as well. The motion sensors and accelerometer also feed important parts into what we do. We know what position we're in when we take a reading, or also the geotagging part of it as well, knowing where we are when we take, are we at the north part of the plant, the south part, or are we outside? So plenty of internal storage as well is another feature. We have all the way up to 128 gigabytes that we can utilize for collecting data, and I don't think we've ever had a field person even collect 16 gigabytes in a single day. Adaptable lightning connectors for accessories, keyboards, things that I'm going to show you today. Although I have to say most of the sensors that we've adapted to the unit originally that were tethered through you know, a standard accelerometer and cord that we were using the lightning connector, most things are becoming wireless now. So almost all the devices that I'm going to share with you today that hopefully spring some ideas for your companies and your businesses are all wireless. Which makes it even more convenient, and I'll get into that as well. What this hardware provides is a simple thing. My company, we're about a 45 employee company. We don't build computers. To use the iPad in business to add sensors to and make devices out of and use for our business, we're not going to start by building a computer. Why? We already have one. It has all these attributes that a developer can interact with. So the iPad being mass-produced by Apple, anyone use the iPad as a low-cost computer to make things possible. And again, we're going to dig into that. Now, the system software features for developers are all the attributes of the iPad. Email integration, mapping, the camera roll, as I already led into. Apple Store for easy licensing for apps. Our customers that use our apps for all the different developments that we've done, anytime an update comes along, it is simply just loaded up to the App Store, and all of our customers, anybody that's got our iPad or something that you may have written for Apple or your app, will be automatically available for every one of your customers. So we don't have these licensing fees. Once an app is purchased, all the updates come through the App Store very, very seamlessly. Custom keyboards. You know, you build the device for ultrasonic or vibration analysis or some of the tools that we built. You can't just add another button, you know, that you say, hey, we want to add this feature. On the iPad, because everything is touch interface and you can change your keyboards, well, you can add that button. It makes things very easily to update and adaptable for that. The touch screen. Think about graphs and moving cursors around and things like that become very, very seamless and elegant on the iPad. Siri integration as well. Now we have a virtual assistant that can open our applications or maybe trigger functions in it that we normally wouldn't have our hands busy doing something else, so that we can use her as our assistant or our third hand. Motion sensors as well, sense movement, and other important things. And I'm mentioning most of these attributes, not that we've used them all, but if this talk does anything to inspire people to do what GTI has done with the iPad in the industrial workplace, which I'm also going to share with you about 6 other companies that have, in our sector and the machine tool world, have done things with the iPad to help in the industrial sector. Real quick list here. I think most people that are up to date digitally know everyday items that the iPad has replaced: computers, calculators, cameras, photo albums, cash registers, meters for cabs. I can go on and on, but here's a nice list if anybody wants to take a snapshot. And I believe this presentation is going to be available after the talk here today. Okay, iPads in the industry. How do GTI and other companies, how we can utilize the iPad? What we have done is we have created multiple devices on this platform. It actually spurred a new division of our company. Our original company is GTI Spindle Technology that services and creates new precision tool spindles. We started a new division called GTI Predictive Technology. How does GTI use the iPad? Well, we created a vibration analysis device. Through the lightning connector and the camera connection kit, we were able to take the accelerometer that I just viewed for you here and tethered it to the iPad with a special case and a special box so that we can take data from any machine tool spindle, any motor, any pump, windmills. It actually goes out of the machine tool territory and goes into other businesses as well. Collecting data for routes so that we can know when things are going to fail. We can actually use it as a data collector, which normally costs anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000 to build or buy a vibration analyzer. Well, an analyzer is also a field balancer in most cases, so we added a tachometer as well. And before I get too far into that, as I stated earlier, everything has now developed into wireless technology. So we're no longer tethered with that cord for an accelerometer on our measuring devices. We now have this small wireless accelerometer that goes directly to the iPad. Thermography. We added thermography camera as well. So now we can take a route around the plant not only for vibration analysis, now we can use a thermography camera, which is also wireless. So we can take this data. And again, keep in mind, we're always connected to the internet. We're able to beam this data to a cloud or develop whatever kind of web app that's possible out there. Now, GTI did create its own web app, but for your ideas, you can create any kind of data source because your technician or whoever's collecting data, whether it's at your own factory or a field guy, he can send, as long as he's internet connected, he can send that data that he's collecting anywhere. And then once that's collected in a server, we all know what can be done from there. We also did borescope, ultrasonic for leak detection throughout the plant, and when to lubricate bearings throughout the plant. Shop balancing, machine certification. We have a wireless geometric leveling system also on the iPad so that a technician can actually go through, take his photos, his vibration analysis, do all his leveling, and print out a report and email it right from the shop floor wherever he conducted that work. He doesn't have to bring the device home like a traditional analyzer of all the different types I mentioned, have to plug it into a PC and load down this data. It's already done. It's already on the device that you're using. And then, of course, plant data and trending. Also apps that can be written on the iPad. Here's a quick snapshot of what iPad features we utilize. And I think I covered a little bit of these, but in email and internet integration, we collect the data that we collect. We also use it on our shop floor. All our technicians have an iPad because the important thing to think of here, I've named multiple devices that we've built on this platform, from a vibration analyzer, balancer, thermography, leveling, and geometric. We also have shaft laser alignment. All these devices, not only do they fit in one case, but think about the technician. Think about the technician that doesn't have to also bring a laptop. So now he doesn't have 5 cases with him with all these $30,000 instruments. He's all on one platform. We've just added sensors. So now his email is there. If he's got his machine manuals, he can load them into iBooks and he can have everything in one place on one device. Some of the other features we've added is mapping. When we're building a route, we can move the plant around and use the location device or the GPS chip in the device to know where things are. And I mentioned before, the App Store, it makes it very easy for us to license our software, get it out to our customer, and get these updates into their hands. Here's another attribute, just I thought was neat. It's not really important, but with augmented reality, we can actually use the camera of the device. This is a page in our balancing app where we need to make a correction on this rotor, and now the camera is telling the technician where to put the weight or remove the weight that he needs to add to precision balance this component. So it's just another little added feature of using all the different attributes of the iPad's features into your applications so that you can get the most bang for your buck, and it does so much more. You know, what other instrument would do something like this? Applications that we've written. There's over 20 that we've written in 4 short years. They may not participate into the business that you are. This is more to generate ideas on what you can use the iPad for. But we did Vibe Pro for vibration analysis, route data collection, and trending. Balance Pro for machine shop balancing, and we actually use the iPad electronics and slip it into a balancing machine so that it takes over for what used to be a phone booth sized electronics kit, and it's all right on the iPad. iRotor Balance for balancing. Actually, the iPad turns from the analyzer into a balancing system. It can balance any rotating device in the field, from a 40-foot fan to a 150,000 RPM grinding spindle. Vibe Capture for taking high-resolution vibration snapshots for real heavy diagnostics. We did a vibration transmissibility app for people setting up machines where I'm actually using 2 accelerometers and knowing the vibration level from the machine to the floor so that we can, the app will actually spit out exactly what isolation pad would be specified for that machine in that particular setup. Phase Pro. Again, if you're not a vibration analyst, it might not mean a lot to you, but it's another app that allows us to put 2 probes on a motor, spindle, rotating component and know whether we have a bent shaft, a cock bearing, and that's all buried in the software. Take the readings, the technician presses a button, it tells him what might be wrong with that particular rotating component. And again, there's 20, so I didn't list them all here. Also, I mentioned before web app integration. Again, being internet connected, we can take all this data we're collecting, whether it's using it for our facility and our process. If you're making a product, you can use it within your facility. That data can be sent to a web app so that remote facilities can view in real time to see what you're doing. And I'll give you an example. Again, not for self-promotion, but just so that you guys have an idea. We took the vibration analysis data that we're having and we collect it out in the field, and somebody can be remotely doing a reliability assessment on all kinds of assets at a plant, and when he's done for the day, he beams that data up to our web app, and any remote facility can view what he looked at for the day, see what the issues are, and start the post-processing and the analysis of that plant, and print out a beautiful report for the plant manager to say, hey, I've got 10 machines in the red, I've got 4 in the yellow, the rest are in green. This is my condition for the day. And that can all be accessed because we have a web app that this data just goes to, and anybody that has a device, no matter what it is, if it's connected to the internet, you can access this because it's a website or a web app. Just a page here I printed. These are amongst many of the applications that we've written that I mentioned before that I didn't want to have to bore you with a very long list. But some are for laser shaft alignment, some are for learning vibration analysis and doing different things, thermography, and many others. All right, what are others doing with the iPad? Akuma has My Akuma, an app that monitors Akuma machines remotely. So GTI, even though I'm the one doing the talk on this subject just because I'm passionate about it, there are many other people here at the show that you can visit that are using the iPad for their businesses as well. Simco has an app for CNC editing. MT Connect, as you know, is becoming a household name in machines talking to each other. They are also involved in the iPad and connecting these things together. IMTS Show Planner may be on a few phones in the room, I'm not sure, or iPads in the room. and Factory Whiz. So those are just a few that we picked out before this talk and integrated into this slide. So I'm sure there's many, many more companies at IMTS 2014 that are using these devices in their business. Some other useful apps. I mentioned this earlier, you know, what GTI has done and developed for the iPad. Also, there are other apps that help you at work, that this device doesn't just be your analyzer or whatever you created it to be. There are other apps that are very useful. And I mentioned earlier the paperless apps. You know, you want to have all your machine manuals, or if you're a service guy or a plant manager, can all be in Goodreader or in iBooks. Time and billing apps. You picture yourself a service guy. Well, time is money. We all know that in business. The ability to actually do your billing and send your reports of whatever you're diagnosing or doing on a plant level in the field, you're able to do that billing and send out those reports before you ever leave or get back to the office. The mobile office, you know, pages, numbers, Keynote. I'm using Keynote right now to deliver this presentation. I don't have a computer. I've got my iPad, which is also a vibration analyzer. We have a Microsoft Office suite now is available as well. Note-taking apps. There's a built-in notes, and there's other apps that are very, very good for adapting pictures to your notes and things like that. Of course, our task management is important as well. Reminders to remind. We actually built into one of our data collection applications to remind not only our technicians in the field. We used the Reminders app to tie in with our app so that he knows what machines need data collected and which ones don't. Barcode reading capability is another attribute that we're going to integrate, so that not only do we know which machines we need to measure or what we're doing in that area, we also can scan them in and find them through barcode. Video conferencing. Again, I can't tell you how many times our technicians are bailed out through the video conferencing and the pictures and video capability of this device. For somebody to be out in Ohio, California, wherever, and be on his own trying to fix a machine tool and now be able to weigh in with our office or several engineers at our office, and we can see what he's seeing. And vice versa, we can show him and communicate both ways. And there are several apps for that. FaceTime built in, Skype, GoToMeeting, Cisco, and I'm sure there's probably 10 others that I haven't mentioned. Other useful accessories. HDMI adapters, which I'm using here today, keyboards, Bluetooth stylus. There's many attachments to the device now that originally when it first came out weren't developed, but there probably isn't many tasks too large or too small that you can't get involved in having a third party. I've seen temperature devices for grills, and your imagination is what breeds all this. And again, to boast on our story at GTI, that's what it was. We ran into a problem where money was a major factor of having to buy 5 or 6 $40,000 instruments that drove us in this direction. And when we saw the power of what we could do with this device, being able to use the touch interface for moving cursors around and identifying things, and the beautiful graphs and visual interaction of the device just really brought this out. And we were able to facilitate all our outside salespeople, all our internal technicians and outside engineers, all could have a full vibration analyzer, balancer, thermography device, everything all in one, in a price of maybe one of these units. So again, we're not building a computer for each device type that we have, which that's the way things have been done over the last 20 years. If you want to buy a thermography device or any measuring instrument, you're buying that instrument. They're never rolled into one platform where it's modular like this, where we can just add sensors to one platform and have multi-function. So that, of course, saves money because we're not building 100 analyzers a year or 200. These are built in the millions. Another thing to consider when you're out in the field and using these, and your technicians and your employees are using these in the field, even though we have them in a protective case and they're very durable now, you drop one gets stolen, something happens, you're out $650. You're not out $30,000. And you're looking at a guy that with one of the axes of a Kuma machine crushed an analyzer, and it's not a pretty picture. So can be out a lot of money very, very quickly. So I'm going to close now with any questions or information anybody in the room would like to ask me about our experience or questions about what I've talked about today.
So do you sell setup iPads?
Yes. Everybody does it a little differently, but we decided to have a turnkey, so we load everything from the App Store, assign you a iTunes account and everything for any of the devices that I mentioned that we sell.
Yeah, so if a certain industry or business wants, again, going along the predictive troubleshooting vein, we would just bring the info, you would then integrate it into this setup. Would we have to develop the app ourselves?
No, and everything I mentioned today, we have developed all the apps and it's ready to go. And we also, I should take this back, we do offer, if you have your own iPad, that we would sell you the kit and give you promo codes for the already written applications so that you can outfit your own device. But most people say, hey, I already have my own iPad. If this is going to be the analyzer and or whatever the device we choose to sell them, they pretty much want it to be their own.
You guys sign on with the propriety, there's propriety agreements and everything?
Yeah. I mean, we run everything's through the Apple Store. Everything is just the way anybody writing apps for that app or for the iPad is. And, other things that people are thinking of doing, and there's all kinds of different devices people are trying to connect to the iPad now. There's outside contractors and developers that can develop a custom app for you. We do that for other customers that say, hey, we like your app and we like what you've done in a general sense, but we want one of our own. We want a custom app.
So you're a mechanical company.
Yes.
So pretty much that's what fostered this.
Yes. Right. It went from an internal need to outfit our company with more equipment and to sort of streamline our process as well, because we use it for service reports and moving things around in the building. Every technician has an iPad. And it just, when people started seeing us using these in the field, because we have field technicians, it became a business, a strong business. 4 years, since the iPad came out. Yep, from the beginning.
Do you have any concerns about just the life cycle of the iPad? These products seem to change so fast in our computing industry.
It is a concern, although every generation that they've changed, we've been able to follow. And I'm very relieved that both us and a partner, MU Optics, who's doing their thermography camera, we went Wi-Fi now, which we don't think that's going to change. But like you very intelligently asked, what happens when you go from a 30-pin connector to a lightning connector and you're connecting through the dock port with your sensors. Those changes can be scary. But now being that we're all on wireless, it's a little less concerning. And every time, which I believe today is the day, right? Today's Apple's big day. They're going to be releasing ISO 8, and I've got 22 apps out there. We've run into it before where we have to say to our customer, hey, just don't update yet. Give us a day or two. But the nice thing with Apple, everything is through the App Store. We make our adjustments with our apps to their operating system changes, and it all gets beamed down through the cloud, and it's pretty seamless. But it is a concern, but it's been very secure for all 4 years. The day they released every iPad, our analyzer was outfitted and ready to go, balancer and all the things that I mentioned today.
When you say wireless, you're talking about network, not Bluetooth, right?
Both. We have our laser shaft alignment system is Bluetooth, as is our leveling device, and for perpendicularity, flatness, and all that. That is Bluetooth. Our vibration analyzer is a proprietary Texas Instruments because it's very heavy data load that Bluetooth would never be able to handle unless it was in packets. So we had to go a different way there. And our thermography device is Wi-Fi. So there's a variety. But they're all the main cogs in the wheel that I don't think are going to, that haven't changed over the years, at least so far.
Can you talk about data management and data storage?
Mm-hmm.
Different options that you might have?
Yeah, and it's a good question because we have like 5 different ways our apps store data because everybody kind of wants to do things differently. Some companies say, hey, we're not going to use cloud. We don't want data going outside the factory. So in those cases, we have data transfer the old-fashioned way. You took your analyzer around, you collected your data, whatever kind of analyzer it was, you bring it back to your computer in your office and you download the data, do it in the software. So we did that. We have the cloud storage. We have direct link to Dropbox for people that want it just a real quick and easy, let me get it out and get it up to Dropbox. Depending on size, is a restriction with email, but that's another function. So we've kind of used every attribute that's out there for data transfer because everybody wants something different. But in a way, it's a good thing because you have all those different options that you can use. And if somebody comes up with a better idea, we had one customer that has a wireless remote server that we send it to. So there's a lot of flexibility there.
So you mentioned the device is voltage built and you attach several things to make it endure in environment. Can you talk more about this and what's your experience about the lifetime of the device? Because we try some devices, sometimes it gets smashed, sometimes it gets chopped, and machine is hands like it's oily or greasy, and you can.
Oh, as far as handling a device like that with the grease and all that, actually I wish I would have brought them, but if you come to our booth, they started making work gloves for the iPad. They're special material with I don't know how they're made, but they're very inexpensive, disposable. If you come by my booth, I just can't remember. It was just a little add-on that we did, and I brought some to the booth to answer that because that's a big question. Hey, a device like this, you put it in some tough environments. And, what I've got it in here, I could drop it from a ladder, and 90% of the time it's okay. So we have also an intrinsic case. It's a lot. It's a $1,000 add-on, but it's an intrinsic case that's actually waterproof down to 5 feet underwater. In the back, I've been seeing you, I'm sorry.
So a couple questions. Major question was about the data.
Mm-hmm.
So I have my own system, and I would want to integrate maybe through the cloud. Do you do SOAP?
Right now, our main system that works with the cloud is an SQLite file. So yeah, we've got several projects where we're meshing with other people's already built databases so that we can add this in. Yes, that is a little development time, but it's all doable. It's software, so.
Or is there a way that the file is saved somewhere, and what kind of file is that?
Yeah, we save CSV, SQLite, text, so we have a variety of ways. And, if it's an important enough project, we can create, again, it's the beauty of this is you almost feel empowered because it's just writing software now. When you're adding sensors like this, you can almost do anything. I have so many ideas of things I want to do, but, we're a small company, we can only do so much. And that's kind of why I was here to share this with you guys today, because I think it's great, the more people that are doing this type of stuff. And it helps us all. Because everybody knows how to pick up an iPad. They're not scared of it. If I hand one of you guys a vibration analyzer that we used to use, you're going to run the other direction. Yes?
Are people using the iPad for CAD programs and doing drawings?
Yeah. I played with one that I was really impressed with, and it's the big guys that are writing some of that. Not a big CAD guy, I don't know. But if you look under CAD on the iTunes store, it's amazing what's out there.
I don't have a question, but I thought it'd be nice to share with the group. I've seen an implementation at a machine tool manufacturer where the work instructions and the routings were done on iPads. Every assembler had one. So they check off that their operation was complete, but they could also dig into the work instructions and flip through at a different level.
The advantage there was you could embed hyperlinks in the work instructions. So if you had one common process that you didn't have to rewrite for every type of machine tool, you could just pop to it. This is how we align a ball screw.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's amazing how much paper was saved and how much easier it was to use.
Yeah, we do the same thing with our instructions. You know, we say, okay, your spindle is okay by ISO spec. Well, what does that mean? There's an info button, and there's the chart and what it means. And, you know, there's so much you can do. It really is. I agree with you 100%. Well, I hope you all felt that this was informative. I'm not a professional speaker, so this is a little not easy for me, but hopefully you got out of what was intended. And if you have any other questions, please do stop by our booth, 7433.